class today. It's elementary, Watson. That's a bit of a joke on Sherlock Holmes. Brahmagupta, who gave us the physical foundations of elementary mathematics, has been murdered. Indian mathematics has been killed off. Somebody's murdered the original mathematics, and India invented the real mathematics and how it all works. You gave the world zero. In the 7th century, Brahmagupta documented the laws of mathematics with positive quantities and negative quantities and zero. And the world has not been following Indian mathematics. So there's Brahmagupta. He was born in 598 and died in 668 CE. And they developed mathematics in order to study astronomy. So the original mathematics was created by scientists, and yet for the last 500 years, the foundations of elementary mathematics have been wrong. Totally wrong. Okay, so talking about Brahmagupta and being an astronomer, here's some interesting information. Everyone knows the universe is expanding, and yet gravity, the fundamental force in the universe, is slowing the expansion of the universe. Gravity and the universe will end in a big crunch. So it's expanding, but eventually gravity will bring it all back together and it will crunch back. Some people even say into a fireball. Yet 3 astronomers had a problem. Their data said the expansion of the universe was speeding up. All of the scientific community was saying the expansion of the universe would be slowing down because of the effects of gravity. And yet these 3 astronomers, the data was saying the expansion of the universe is getting faster and faster. So, this went against everything scientists knew. So Dr. Rice, one of the astronomers, wrote, "Approach these results not with your heart or head, but with your eyes. We are observers after all." So to win a Nobel Prize, you have to begin to trust your eyes. Eyes for physics, because they believed their eyes. They told the world that they had data that went against everything that had been said about the universe and actually even contradicted the physics of Albert Einstein. But they believed the eyes, they believed the data, and those men won the Nobel Prize for physics. So to truly understand the physical foundations of elementary mathematics, the elementary foundations of mathematics have been wrong for the past 500 years. We eventually get the correct mathematical answer, but the way that we understand things along the way is not the ideal way of explaining mathematics. So, here we are again, back with Pogo the puppy. Hello, I'm Pogo. And at age 7, Jonathan was confused. So this is me in 1968. There I am there. 51 years ago, I was confused by mathematics because I was looking at mathematics with my eyes. And my teachers were saying things that made no sense to me. So this is my teacher in 1968 in class 2. 2 into 3, 2 multiplied by 3, is 2 added to itself 3 times, and that equals 6. But I said, that's crazy. 2 added to itself 3 times is 8. Of course, 2 into 3 equals 2 added to itself 3 times. It's Euclid's multiplication definition from 300 BC. So I was telling my teacher that she was wrong, and she was relying on Euclid. So you've got a 7-year-old boy against Euclid. Well, so here we see In the Collins Dictionary of Mathematics, to multiply a by integral b is to add a to itself b times. In a book on multiplication, an entire book on the theory of multiplication, it says in book 7, Euclid defines multiplication as when that which is multiplied is added to itself as many times as there are units in the other. Makes no sense. If 2 added to 1 3 times is 7, so there's 1, 2 is added to 1 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So 3 2's have been added to 1. So 2 added to 1 3 times is definitely 7. This is a 7-year-old's thinking. So how can 2 added to itself 3 times be 6? It's 8. So there's 2 itself, and 2 added to itself 3 times is 8. Now, my teacher and I had an argument. She won because she confused me. But when 2 multiplied by 3, or 2 into 3, the 3 hops of 2 drawn on the number line start at India's 0. So there's that number line. And we have 3 hops of 2, boing, 2, boing, 4, boing, 6. So 2 multiplied by 3 equals 2 added to 0 3 times, not 2 added to itself 3 times. And my research has shown that Euclid's multiplication definition was incorrectly translated into English in 1570, and no one ever fixed it. It was like the first man to walk on the moon was Armstrong, and no one knows who the second man was. The first definition was the one that stuck, and yet I said it was wrong, and I checked that up in 16 different languages, and that became a conference paper that I presented. So it ended up being that in 2016, when I gave that talk and conference paper, I finally proved my 7-year-old child self to be correct after all. So, in 1983, Jonathan broke his back, that's me, and then I am in hospital. And so I was told by my surgeon if I moved, I would never walk again. So I had to stay motionless on my back for 2 months without moving, and if I moved, I'd be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. So I made a promise to God, let me walk, and I promise to make maths simpler. At this time, I hated mathematics. And I thought that if I was going to be given a miracle of being able to walk again, I had to give back a miracle to the universe, back to God. And so I recovered, I was able to walk and have children, so I just thought, I'm a man of honour. I'm going to keep my promise I made in that emergency ward of that hospital, and I'm going to dedicate my life to making mathematics simpler, which is why I'm here today. So I started to make headlines in 1987, in 1988, and there's a quote here, which you may not be able to read, but in this newspaper article, it actually says, I hope to change the way that was my promise that was published in the newspapers in 1988. I did not know how I was going to do this, but I had made that promise, and I thought if a man makes a promise and commits his life to keeping that promise, then one day he will succeed. So I had other articles written about my ability to use my brain and to think, and so here I am now in India talking about mathematics and how we need to start to follow Brahmagupta when it comes to mathematics, because he wrote the rule book on multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, on the integers, the positives and the negatives, and with 0.